Hello and welcome everyone. In this tutorial we are going to see how we can clone a repository which is present in GitHub, then how to take the latest changes from this cloned repository to our local. Then we will see how we can push our changes which we have made in our local repository and contribute those to the original repository in GitHub. And finally we will see what are the conflicts which might occur in the above steps and how to resolve them. So in my previous tutorial, we have covered the topics like how to create a GitHub repository, delete a GitHub repository, how to make the initial commit for a newly created repository, and how to resolve conflicts during the initial commits. If you would like to view those, then you can refer to the links which I have provided below. So let's get started with the today's contents. So suppose we say there is a repository in the GitHub which we want to utilize and we want to have it in our local and use it. So first we need to clone this repository to our local. Demo repo is the name of the repository. Now to clone, you can see a green button, clone or download. So we'll copy the address from here by clicking over here and we'll go to our local. Suppose say we want to have the repository in say under this path. So we'll do right click and do git bash here and then type the command git clone and paste the address of the repository which we had copied. Hit enter. So now we can see that the repository is getting cloned, and yes, it has cloned already. The folder structure has come up. We'll go inside the directory of demo repo. We can see all the files have been cloned to our local which were present in the GitHub repository demo repo. That's good. Now we close that command prompt, and then now that we have cloned the repository into our local, we can use it as per our usage. And suppose, let's say someone else or the owner has made some more contributions, like there are 12 commits, but there are few updates which has been pushed into this repository by someone else. Someone else has contributed, like say we'll create a new file to show you how it happens. New file, we'll name new file directly in GitHub. So there's a contribution for a new file is present. Some new files are there and someone has committed. Yeah, so we can see there are 13 commits. We had cloned at 12 commits. Now there are 13 commits, and so now there is an additional file, new file underscore GitHub, which we don't have in our local. So now we have to have all this latest. So every time we need not delete and reclone it if whenever there are new files. Rather, what we can do is we'll get into the repository like inside demo repo and then do a right click and do git bash here. We remember that you have to come into the folder where git init is there, .git folder. This is a hidden folder. You can, if it's not visible, you can change your folder options to see this folder. So you have to come inside the repo and then do a right click and git bash here. and then we have to pull all the files, additional files which has been contributed by someone else to the repo to our local. So we will simply write the pull command, git space pull, and hit enter. As easy as that. And here we can see that the new file has been got into the local folder. Now next is, like, we modify this files, or how we can contribute to this repository. We have made some changes. Now we want to push the changes which we have done into the repository, the main repository, so that other people can use it. Let's say during the process we created some new files, like new file, it's created in our local. So now this file we want to put into the GitHub so that others can make use of it. How we can do that? So same, we'll go to the git bash here, and we'll commit our files. For that, first we will do git add space dot, so all the files which has changes will get added, and then we'll commit those files. Git commit space -m, and we will give some comments to our commit, like new file underscore local commit. Then we need to push these files, so it will be git push -u origin. And yes, let's check whether our new file local is present in the GitHub repository or not. We'll refresh it, and yes, we got the file, and the commit number has increased to one more, like 14 commits. So now let's see what happens. There is someone who has created a file, like while you were working there was someone else also working the same repository, and a new file is created, like new file underscore github 2 has been created. We'll do the commit new file underscore github 2 committed. So someone has worked upon this repository, and there was a need to create some additional files, and some other person has pushed the files into this repository, demo repo in the GitHub. And meanwhile, you were also working on this repository, this project, and there was a need, and there were some files which you have also created. Suppose say new text document, like new file underscore local 2. So what has happened is there's a file new file underscore local 2 in your local repo which is not present in the GitHub repository, the original repository. Similarly, there is a new file new file underscore github 2 which has been pushed by some other contributor which you don't have it in your local. So this is being a repository. There will be folders and files, and folders inside folders and subfolders with files, so we cannot know that how if there have been any new files added or new changes present, and are there any new commits. We can't remember the number of commits also. So at the time you will be, you have done some changes, so you will go ahead and try to commit your files and push your files to the repo. So you're not aware that someone else has also worked and the repository has been updated. So what you will be doing is like git add space dot git commit hyphen slash hyphen m, and this is a new, give the comments like new file underscore local to committed, and then we'll be pushing the files. So git push hyphen new origin. Let's see if we can do only with git push. Git push. So we are getting this error that updates were rejected because the remote contains work that you do not have locally. So it's saying that the remote has some other work which you don't have in our local, that is the file, this new file github 2 is not present in our local, so we cannot push our files. So first we have to sync our local repository and have all the committed changes in our local which is present in the GitHub repository, original repository from where we have cloned. Then only we can push or merge the changes, additional changes which we have in our local, or else Git won't allow us to do those pushes. So another thing which you have noticed is we can use only git push, like we don't have to write git push hyphen new space origin, so that is not required. So it by default assumes that it is in the origin and master. So either you can specify explicitly like git push hyphen new or space origin, or just a git push is also enough and it will work. So for now what we have to do is we have to pull all the additional changes which are present in the main original repository in GitHub to our local first. To do that, we'll do git space pull and hit enter. And it's asking for a commit because we are bringing in the changes. So we'll just colon WQ. So we can see that this will increase a commit. Now the commits have become 15 and we have got the new file underscore github 2 into our local. Now we can push our files. Git push enter. So the files which we had committed, that is new file local 2, should now be present in the GitHub repository. So let me refresh the repo, and yes, the commits have increased and we can see this new file underscore local 2 dot text file present in the repository. So in these cases we should always do a git pull first and then do a git push. Okay, So to summarize back what we have covered in today's tutorial is that we saw how to clone a repository, then how to take the latest changes from the cloned repository to our local. Yes, we did that. Then we saw how to push the changes from our local repository to the original repo in the GitHub. Yes, we did that also. And then we saw what are the possible conflicts, like what happens when there are changes which are made in local you want to push, but by then someone else has pushed their changes into the original repository. In that cases, how you should proceed. First we have to do a git pull, and then only we will be able to push our changes to the repository. So that's all for today's video. Thank you.